What's going on, y'all? Forward Fave Man, BigBossFabo back again with a video for the channel doing a reaction to just in. NYC starts arresting and deporting migrants. Several individuals were detained, including some during a Monday morning NYPD operation in the Bronx, aimed at a group linked to a citywide series of thefts. According to the NYPD, authorities suspect that these individuals are connected to widespread cell phone thefts across the city. During the operation, law enforcement recovered a portion of the stolen items. So, I guess they're saying a lot of the migrants are coming over, I guess, to the states in particular areas of NYC, committing a lot of crimes, which hence is a whole back and forth between, like a lot of people wanting immigrants to come over to the states and things of that sort, man. Comment down below if y'all have specific thoughts on this, and let's just go ahead and hop right into this video, man. This is from NYC Uncovered.
Call it the largest robbery spree that has been plaguing the city. For months, thieves on scooters have been snatching phones and pocketbooks.
In recent months, a wave of migrant crime has washed over our city.
I'm ready to move out. Yeah.
Not bad.
I'm out of here.
You will not believe what migrants are doing in New York. This is honestly the biggest robbery spree that the city has ever seen. In the past couple of weeks, there's been a surge in crime and robberies in places like the Bronx and communities in Manhattan, where people have their phones and belongings stolen right in front of them by criminals on mopeds and scooters. But first, let's start off with the armed gang members that robbed a Gucci store in broad daylight.
Gucci?
On Monday, a robbery at a Gucci store in New York City was captured on surveillance
broad
footage,
daylight,
showing 3 armed individuals stealing items valued at $51,000. The video reveals 2 men and a woman entering the store, with one man brandishing a firearm and demanding customers to lie on the ground. After seizing luxury goods, the culprits escaped in a black Honda CR-V, which was parked close to the store's entrance. The current location of the suspects remains unknown, according to the NYPD. That was a video of a 52-year-old woman getting dragged across the sidewalk, and her body having a collision with that pole during an ongoing robbery by these suspected migrants. She was robbed of her credit cards, her phone, her bag, keys, ID, and $60 cash.
This was a lot of people say, a lot of folks will say it's because we're letting immigrants into the country, but I think that's something that just comes with overpopulation. You get all these folks living in like shelters, and New York's already, the city's already like overpopulated as is, bro. So what do you expect? It's like people on top of people, like, and then that's just gonna cause frustration, and people gonna lash out, act out in a certain way. Not to say it's okay, but a lot of people just blaming it on people from foreign places, like. Is it, they're making it a whole cultural type of thing or a race type thing, and I don't even agree with that. I think it's just too what's the whole phrasing or the saying, like too many fish crammed in a can, or sardines in a can, and just everything stuffed in, you know what I mean? So I think that's playing a role as well.
The arrested migrants are expected to be charged with multiple robberies and grand larceny. Police say that the suspects are allegedly connected to up to 62 incidents of snatching, and the way their operations typically go is that they steal the possessions of New Yorkers, mostly older women, and they take their wallets and cell phones, and then they hack into their banking and payment apps, particularly Apple Pay, and then they make fraudulent purchases with money in places like the US or countries in South America. After that, they send the phones to countries like Colombia, where they get repurposed and resold in those countries.
This department, this agency is not going to tolerate that. We will find you. Anyone that commits any act of harm against one of our New Yorkers, we're going to find you, we're going to arrest you, we're going to bring you to justice.
Police also say that the suspected ringleader, 30-year-old Mr. Victor Parra, is still at large. Victor Parra is a Venezuelan male who came into the country in 2023, and since then he has carried out a series of grand larcenies. He was even before a judge in December last year, but for some reason he was released. And yet it seems that he is not done with his corruption.
Typical.
The NYPD has stated that these robberies often begin with message blasts from Parra, with the messages reading, "I have money."
From starting up to shaking up the world, we help your brand on.
Always these repeat offenders are the ones who are committing continuous crimes, but for some reason the law lets them go. Hey, we'll give you a slap on the wrist, buddy. And then he commits another crime.
I'm available. Go get them. Once the messages are received, the criminals take to the streets and they begin snatching. It is said that Para employs a tech guy who breaks into these phones.
This fool got
and
tech.
he is then able to access the financial information of their victims. So far, this criminal pattern has earned these individuals hundreds of thousands of dollars in stolen property.
With the scooter operators making $100 a day, and the actual phone snatcher making between $300 to $600 per phone that is stolen.
Police recovered about 22 stolen phones from these criminals, and the identity of Para. And they're hoping to make more arrests as time proceeds. The most reprehensible fact about all these is the fact that these thieves live in migrant shelters. And they use these shelters as camouflage. After obtaining these scooters from innocent New Yorkers, they carry out the robberies under the cover of night at various neighborhoods, and then they return to the shelters during the day. What's worse than that is that these individuals are known as ghost criminals. These are individuals who have no relevant data tied to the American systems. They're basically ghosts. They have no cell phones, at least not registered to the states, no photos, no driver's license,
What is it
and not
talking
even as
about?
much as a social media handle, meaning they're not going to show up in facial recognition software. And even
Duh.
if they do, there's no data to match them up with. Police even have trouble getting the right names and dates of birth of these criminals, making investigations all the more challenging. Police Commissioner Edward Cabin further stated that these criminals do not represent the vast majority of immigrants who come into the city in search of a better life, and further stated that he and his police officers are doing everything in their power to stop these patterns of robberies perpetuated by immigrants all over the city. Yet even the police officers themselves aren't safe from these criminals. A couple of weeks ago, two
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, once one person commits a crime, like, people as a whole will hold that whole race or that whole culture accountable, and pretty much will think that if one does something, then you know they're all bad. They're all gonna do something. Get them out of our country. We don't want them here. And that's where a lot of this whole tension has been with a lot of the immigrants coming to the States, man. I think it's a mixture of everything. It's not just, well, they're going to take our jobs and, you know, they're not living sufficiently. Like, you know, there's a lot of arguments that come to hand. But I think a lot of it's just pure hatred, bro. A lot of people just angry and upset. So for no reason, though. But yeah, man, comment down below y'all's thoughts on that. I know a lot of people got a lot to
NYPD
say
officers were assaulted
along the lines of that subject. A lot of people got a lot to say about that.
when they attempted to arrest a voted on New York as a sanctuary city in 2014 and passed New York sanctuary city laws. The partnership between ICE and the city was next to non-existent. And now the people who are supposed to be detaining and deporting these individuals in New York City are no longer contacted when immigrants commit a crime or are accused of one. They find out along with everyone else through the media. So to do their jobs, they have to head into the streets to investigate. But that doesn't yield much results. With these recent occurrences going on in the city, New Yorkers are scared not just for themselves, but for their elderly population. As we saw in the video, most of the people being targeted are women, both young and elderly. With these developments, New Yorkers fear for the safety of themselves, their mothers, and their grandmothers, with many outright saying that they're going to leave the city.
Very scared. And my mother, she's right there. And it's very scary for the older people, too.
Police continue their investigations as more arrests are expected to be made and more suspects detained. Given the ongoing investigation and prevalence of the use of scooters and mopeds to perpetuate
The snatch and
crimes in
grab
New
off
York,
the scooter.
police raided migrant shelters and confiscated these scooters from the shelters, many of which were unregistered and allegedly stolen while also bearing stolen plates.
The first order of business here was they went for the bikes. Dozens of bikes without registrations, some with plates stolen off other bikes somewhere in the city.
Police continue to comb throughout Manhattan to verify scooters and confiscate any that seem to be unsavory in hopes of reducing the use of scooters and the active role they play in these robberies. Mayor Adams said that as of last year, the police seized about 2,400 scooters, which is about a 74% increase than the year before that, and now it seems that the numbers are only going to get bigger.
Bro, that's not going to do nothing. All these folks thinking this is going to stop crime, and it's not going to stop that, bro. I mean, it's going to stop a certain channel or a certain form of transportation to commit these crimes, but that's not going to stop nothing, bro. I mean, once you got people just migrating over and it's just people without housing and people on the streets naturally, crimes are going to happen on the streets. It's just the influx of people, man. Too many bodies, not enough places for people to go or live, and nobody's probably working. So it's a dog eat dog world. People trying to just get it how they live, and people start committing crimes. So I don't know, man. Prayers out to New York. Hopefully everything gets better over there, man. Let me know y'all's thoughts on that in the comment section down below. If you have additional recommendations, put them down in the comments. Check out my playlist page, man. Peace, love, prosperity. God bless. We'll catch y'all next time. We out.